Welcome back to Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. It is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. We're here every Tuesday night from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall from 7 until 7:30. For those of you listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are less than an hour from Lock Haven University football. LHU at home, squaring off with Cheney. And excited to be joined once again by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor, finishing up after week 5 against Team 5 and looking ahead to week 6 against team number 6. Dave, last week on the road at Shippensburg, defensively a bit of sunshine for your team as you guys force a turnover, force 2 of them in fact. 4th straight week the defense has had at least 1 takeaway. How have they been able to consistently take the ball away from the opposing team?
Well, we've been able to, we actually got one of the turnovers on special teams in the week too, so which was good to be able to add that into the mix. I think we do a good job of getting to the football. The defensively, the measure of good defense is the distance between you and the ball carrier. So we're gonna pursue to the football, and I think our guys are getting to the ball and are creating some takeaways.
You mentioned the special teams takeaway. Special teams has gone through some adversity early in the year. What does it do for their confidence to be able to force a takeaway?
No, it was very good. It was one of the areas that I felt like on Saturday we showed some market improvement. Our punt coverage was considerably better. We made some alterations in what we did from that end. We also we did a good job covering kick, our kickoffs, and I felt like we made some improvements, in several areas throughout the special teams.
What were the improvements that you saw in the punt and kick coverage?
Well, we made a change, a functional change in what we were doing, went to a more of a rugby-style kick, and allowed us to be able to get 4 gunners in what we're doing. So we got a little bit better coverage on it, and it was also something that Boumeri as a punter was more comfortable doing. Depending upon which way you punted on Saturday, depending on how good your punt was, because one way you're going into a pretty stiff breeze, and the other one you had one behind us, and I think we uncorked about a 70-yard punt on one of them. Was definitely wind-aided a little bit, but he did a very good job of transitioning to a rugby-style kick.
How did you discover that he has that rugby-style kick in his arsenal?
Well, it's something that we did last year as well. We did it last year, and then we did it last year because Willie Sensendorfer was our punter as a tight end. We turned into a punter, and that was what he did best. We were struggling a little bit with coverage, so it was more of a move to get to getting more coverage on kicks, and Boumeri said, "Yeah, I love it," and he did a great job of directionally kicking with it, and all throughout the week, and it carried over to the game. Except when we were going into the win, like I said, that was tough for any punter.
Your leading rusher on Saturday, true freshman, Chance Swartz with 54 yards. You never know with sports. Sometimes the number 5 running back coming into the year is going to be a guy who's valuable to your team at some point in the year. As a true freshman, what do you like about him?
Well, he has a very good burst. He's a long strider who can accelerate quickly, which is a rare combination. So he has the ability to be able to accelerate and burst when he's up and running. He has a long stride. He's a taller, a little bit bigger running back than the couple of our other guys. So but I felt like he had a very good game in that game, and at the end of the Westchester game, he also came in and has showed some burst of being pretty good, and has helped us get through also some time where we've had some injuries at the tailback position or some minor dings. And he's been a guy that stepped up, and he'll continue to do that. And his load will probably increase.
Joined by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor on the LHU Coaches Show, live from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. Your top 5 receivers on Saturday, all either freshmen or sophomores. What's the biggest learning curve for a young wide receiver at the collegiate level?
Well, the biggest learning curve on Saturday, each opponent's a little bit different, and you have to prepare for each opponent. I mean, we use the term, you start the week at 0-0, you want to finish the week at 1-0. Well, that's really about a preparation process, because each week that you're going to play against, you're going to play against a different style of defense, and there are things that you need to be able to do versus different defenses. And so you have to be able to carry things over from week to week, and you also have to be able to add to your repertoire. So it's really the learning process. On Saturday, one of the things that we needed to do a little bit better job of is we had to do a better job blocking the perimeter than what we did. When it came to their outside linebackers, those guys were very good football players, and we didn't win on some of those battles. So we got to grow from it, and we got to learn. That was the thing that probably stymied our run game more than anything else, was us not being able to, account for the outside linebackers being added into the box.
And how crucial is it that you win some of those battles, both in the passing game and in the running game on the perimeter, to open up space between the tackles for your running game?
Well, I mean, it's huge. I mean, the reality is all throughout the year, even though we may not have scored as many points as what we would have liked to have scored, we've been able to run the football versus teams that we were playing against. On Saturday, we didn't win those perimeter battles in two ways. One, we didn't stretch the field with our run-pass options the way that we should have. And keep their extra players from getting in the box on a consistent basis. We did it a couple times, and it went well for us when we did that, but we were, probably less than 50% efficient in our run-pass option game as far as our decisions were concerned. And then if that's not working for you, you got to be able to get on the perimeter, because now they're squeezing the box. You got to turn the corner and get to the edge, and we're probably about 50% efficient as far as blocking out in space when it came to those. So, I think we learned some valuable lessons that we got to carry forward.
For the context of the fans, when you say 50% efficient, what's a good number efficiency-wise in the eyes of the coaching staff?
Well, I mean, as far as when it's a decision-making process, I mean, if it's a basic decision on numbers from the quarterback position, we would expect our guys to be, over 80%. So when we were maybe 50-50, we may not even have quite been at that level with our run-pass option game. That puts us at a disadvantage. And then when it comes to blocking on the, you need to be able to be at least 85 to 90% of the time that you get some form of stalemate or contact, and we were probably about a 50% efficiency rate on making even the contact with them. So that led to some tough road to hoe, Mm-hmm. So we got practice here in a little bit, and we got to get better.
Injuries are a reality of any athletic team. How do you get the backups who are becoming starters prepared for that increased workload?
Well, I mean, in practices, they're getting a lot of repetitions. Your twos are. I mean, the reality is, aside from usually the quarterback position, our ones and twos are getting pretty equal reps in practice. So they're getting a lot of reps, and we run a lot of reps in practice. So those guys get themselves prepared. It's the speed change that goes from being playing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to playing on Saturday. You got to be able to ramp your speed up and react to the speed that you're playing against.
Joined by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor on the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. When we come back, we will peek ahead to team number 6, the Wolves of Cheney. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show, presented by the Bear Country Sports Network.
Food and fun, friends and family when you go to Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. With a large bar and big screen TVs, Haywood's is where you should go to catch the game with your buddies. Their spacious dining room and kids menu making up family favorites. Ask Haywood's about their special banquet menu for events in a ballroom capable of hosting parties up to 200 people. 570-748-8402, 748-8402 for reservations. Or check them out online at haywoodsotg.com and on Facebook and Instagram. Dr. Jason Madigan, Sport and Spine Chiropractic Rehab, not just a chiropractor, but also a nationally certified strength and conditioning specialist. Sport and Spine Chiropractic Rehab, providing comprehensive evaluations and programs for musculoskeletal injuries, including post-surgical rehab, injury prevention programs, strength and conditioning programs. 570-858-5645, or visit their Facebook page today for more information to optimize your health and performance. 8 North Grove Street, Lock Haven.
Hello, this is Eric Ferry from Weary's Painting and Contracting. We lot of you out there know we're well known for our painting and our restoration of houses, interior, exterior, scroll ceilings, and all that good stuff. But did you know we also offer construction services such as additions, siding, windows, and just about everything else you can think of. Again, that's Mary's Painting and Contracting, 570-398-4817, where every estimate's free.
The vehicle you want at price you want to pay. At the Auto Barn on Route 220, Kelly and Dale swipe and search for what you want, and they back it up with a warranty service they provide on site. Quality appraisal vehicles, cars, trucks, and vans, PA inspections, emissions tests too. Friendly, knowledgeable, trustworthy, trust built on years of service to the Fair Country area. 570-398-4365 for the Auto Barn. 220 Upton Road, just off of Route 220 in London. And online at autobarn.com.
The Bear Country 99.9.
Welcome back to the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. Jonathan Schwab with you on the Bear Country Sports Network, and we are with you until 7:30 on the stream. And if you're listening on Saturday, we're with you until 11:30 when Nate Carpenter and I will help you navigate the pregame. Lock Haven University football hosting Cheney. And if you're watching the video, you may have noticed Coach Taynor and I talking a little football during the break and looking back at the previous week, which we also did on the air during the first segment, talking about Shippensburg. All eyes now move forward to Team 6, the Cheney Wolves, as Lock Haven pursues that first win of the season. And Lock Haven welcoming a Cheney team coming in on a 4-game losing streak of their own. Dave, you emphasize so much that it's just Team 6. You don't worry about the names on the jersey or who you're playing. But with the rugged schedule that your group has played in the first 5 weeks, how much awareness do you want the kids to have that Cheney is not one of these 5-0, 4-1 teams they've had to contend with the first 5 weeks?
Well, the reality is it's not part of our focus. We're going to prepare for each team the same way every single week. Obviously, they're going to look at it and read it, and we've emphasized with them that over the past 5 weeks, we've had 5 results from yesterday, as you would say, things that have happened before, and we've played against some very good teams. With the opening game against St. Francis. St. Francis went this week and beat Liberty, who beat Baylor. So we're one step away from the Big 12 as far as a team that we're playing against. And then the remaining 4 teams that we played, 3 of them are in the AFCA polls, national polls, and then the fourth one's only losses are 2 teams that are in the AFCA polls. So, our guys are aware of what they played against. They also prepare each week, and you evaluate your personnel, and you look for your opportunities and your matchups. And we're looking forward to having a great practice tonight, preparing for Team 6. And we need to go out and execute our brand of football and truly, get back to our identity. I think a little bit on Saturday we were searching, and you can't search for results. You can only improve your processes. So, we've got to make sure that we're focused on the improvement process.
The improvement process will bring you into a game on Saturday as we talk on Tuesday against Cheney. What does Cheney show offensively?
Cheney does. I think Cheney. Here you go. So you got me off the Team 6 there. You talked me into it here. Team 6. I think they do a very good job of staying within themselves and their operations from an offensive standpoint. I think if you look at what they've done, they've done a pretty good job of moving the chains, and they've done that against pretty much everybody that they've played against. They've made a few bigger plays, but for the most part, they're a controlled offense that stays within themselves. And and they have a senior operator at quarterback, so I think that always helps when you have someone that's operated in your system for multiple years. So we need to make sure that we play with great intensity and run to the football.
Before I get to the next question, I want you to know that when the show's done, privately, I am going to rejoice that my process won out over your process for one brief moment. Joined by Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor on the LHU Coaches Show. Cheney offensively, a little bit more of a spread look this season. For fans who are so used to Cheney being completely run-based, who that you've gone up against during your Lock Haven tenure would you compare their offense to?
I mean, they're offensively. We've played against a lot of teams that get themselves into some trips and some 3x1s and do some different things that are along those lines. So I mean, we've seen it multiple times. We've seen it out of Team 6 as well. I mean, if you go back to 2015, going into our game, we hadn't seen anything other than really pro or two backs in the backfield. When they played against us, we saw what we would call ace and Trey, which is some one back stuff. They've consistently progressed over the past 3 years to where they've become a little bit more in a spread type of thing, but they can still get themselves back into being trying to be a power run team. I think it has a little bit to do with their quarterback and having some confidence in that senior operator.
Defensively, Cheney held East Stroudsburg to just 268 yards last week. When you look at them on film, what are they putting out there?
I mean, they're a middle of field close team, so they're going to play one high. So you're going to get a lot of four-man front inside box players. Their two inside linebackers, I think, are guys that can run to the ball a little bit. Number 4 for them I think he's got 4 TFLs on the year, so he's made some plays in the backfield. Number 7's a guy that has a little bit of experience, has been playing for him as a starter for the last couple of years. Number 3 for him is a safety outside linebacker that, I think has 25 tackles on the season. So he's a guy that will get to the ball a little bit here and there. And they've had some success, but they've also had some success as a team of playing some complementary football at times. When their win at the start of the year, they played some really complementary football. They made some plays on special teams and then finished from those and finished with them offensively. And got on a little bit of roll in the first half. And I think got 35 points in the first quarter with a couple miscues by Lincoln in the first half with the punt team.
What do you see from Cheney in the special teams realm?
I think they're solid in what they do. They're consistent in what they do. I mean, they've made a couple plays. They made a couple plays against Lincoln, but they've also given up some plays. There's been some opportunities that teams have taken advantage of with their punt team. They've given up a couple block punts and guys have been able to get to it, and then also a couple returns. So, we've got to be consistent and continue the improvement that we've made over the last week or so from our first couple games to carry that over to Saturday. It's going to be a very important part of the game.
Two teams looking for a bit of a boost. What does your team need to do early in the game to establish themselves and feel good after the first 5 or 10 minutes?
We need to play football. We need to line up, take the offensive line, win the line of scrimmage, take the defensive line, win the line of scrimmage, protect the football, play good football, play within our identity, and understand that we're still the team that came out against the St. Francis, PA, who I just referenced, beat a team that beat Baylor. And when we ran the ball interiorly against them, when it was 6-on-6, we averaged over 6 yards a carry. So we're going to line up and play football.
So I know you can't say
angry football.
I know you can't say it the way you would like to say it, but I get the gist, and I imagine our listeners and our viewers also get the picture. You are looking for a physical, disciplined performance.
Correct.
In the trenches.
Correct.
Okay. See, I brought it into plain English, and you had already done that well for me. Our one for fun with Dave Taynor. Now, I was cruising Twitter earlier today, and you post every week some program superlatives, including offensive and defensive pit bull of the week. And at some point, we will talk about this pit bull thing. That won't be today. Today, I would like to know, what is your favorite animal?
Bald eagle.
That is a phenomenal and predictable answer.
It was a predictable question.
I tried to be stealthy, but what are you going to do? I will press a little bit, though. If it's not the bald eagle, and you can pick an animal that is not the nickname of a school in the PSAC, and if you do, so be it. We call them Team 1 through Team 11 anyway. They don't have nicknames. So what would then be your favorite animal?
It'd be a dog.
Okay. Do you own one?
No, I used to. Then I developed an allergy to them, so we no longer have any dogs.
Do you, maybe hairless?
I grew up around. No, I'm you had the reference of the pit bull. I didn't have a pit bull, but I had an American bulldog. So
okay,
that was my dog.
Well, every week it's festive. Lock Haven University head football coach Dave Taynor. Thank you so much for the time and good luck against Cheney.
All right, thank you very much.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Lock Haven University Coaches Show. Thanks to all of you who are so graciously clapping inside the restaurant on this Tuesday evening. Also, thank you to those of you listening on the Bear Country Sports Network. If you are listening on Saturday, oh boy, we are just about there. It is time for the pregame. Lock Haven University football hosting Cheney. Nate Carpenter and I on the call for all of us on this Tuesday and Saturday at Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall. I'm Jonathan Schwab, and this has been the Lock Haven University Coaches Show.
Presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. Food and fun with friends and family when you go to Haywood's Green and Mill Hall. Large bars and big screen TVs. Haywood is where you go to catch the game with your buddies. There's spacious dining room and kids' baby.
Heather, you missed the best one. You called them Cheney.
Special
I heard it.